A very good morning, everyone. So today I'm going to discuss about an important topic for any competitive exam, whether it's a foreign medical graduate exam or a PG exam. One question is definitely expected on interpretation of pedigree, or what we commonly call as a family tree. By the end of this short discussion, I will make you confident in answering any question related to interpretation of pedigree. Before I start the interpretation of pedigree, I want you to remember the basic pedigree symbols. Now, what does this first symbol indicate? This indicates male. What does the next symbol indicate? It indicates female, which is a round. What is the third one? It means the gender is unspecified or non-identified gender. What is the next one? It means miscarriage. What is the next one? That is indicating the twins. You can see that one male and one female. It indicates twin. That means from a single delivery, two babies are delivered. Okay, so that indicates twins. What is the next one? This indicates that the person is affected with the disease. Whenever you completely shade it, it means the person is affected with the disease. And when you put a cross across, it means the person has died. The cross indicates the person has died. Now, what is the next one? That is how the pedigree chart looks like. You can see that these are the parents and these are the children born to the marriage. Okay, this is what we call it as a marriage line. This is what we call it as a marriage line. And when you put two lines, okay, between the male and the female, it indicates, these two lines instead of a single line indicates consanguinity. Please remember, you might have studied about different degrees of consanguinity, but whatever be the degree of consanguinity, it is always indicated by two lines. It is just that you have to write second degree consanguinity, third degree consanguinity, something like that over the two lines. But whatever be the degree of consanguinity, it is always indicated by two lines instead of a single line. And sometimes we write like this, 1 2, like this, to indicate the generation in that particular family. Okay, right. Now you can see that in this particular the pedigree which is given, you can see that the two males are affected. Now suppose I put a mark like this for this particular male. It is called as a proband. What is basically proband? Proband refers to the first person in the affected family who comes to medical attention. You can see that both the father and the son are affected, but it is the son who is coming first for the medical attention. So the patient basically who comes first to the medical attention is indicated by an arrow like this, and that is what we call it as a proband. These are the basic pedigree symbols which everyone should know before you're going to interpret the pedigree chart. All of you might have studied about different types of inheritances which we can interpret from the pedigree, which includes autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, X-linked dominant, X-linked recessive, which are all examples of Mendelian forms of inheritances. Also to be remembered, one non-Mendelian form of inheritance can also be interpreted from the pedigree, which is mitochondrial. Okay, right. Now, whenever I ask students what is the easiest form of pedigree to interpret, they immediately say, I can interpret very easily autosomal dominant. That's what they say. Because basically, what is the meaning of autosome? Autosome means non-sex chromosome. That means it is present in either sex, male and female. Second is dominant. What is the meaning of dominant? Even one abnormal allele is able to express the disease is called as a dominant pedigree. So that means what? Every generation of the family will have disease. So what the students think, very easily we can identify autosomal dominant pedigree, but there is some problem in identifying autosomal dominant pedigree which I will be discussing over the course of next few minutes. So always please concentrate on this. Try to rule out recessive pattern first, then you move on to the dominant pattern. What is the meaning of recessive? What is the meaning of recessive? Recessive means uh, two alleles, two abnormal alleles should be present for a disease to be manifest. If only one abnormal allele is present, then the disease will not be present, but then it can be transferred to the next generation, or what we call it as the carrier. So what I am trying to tell you is, just have a look at this. Suppose I say that this is a recessive pedigree and this particular person is affected. This male is affected. Okay, he is having two abnormal alleles, so that is why he is affected. Where should the allele could have come from? It should have come from the parents, but the parents are unaffected, meaning that the parents are carriers, right? How do you generally denote the carrier in the pedigree? You either shade it half like this, you shade it half like this, or you denote by a small dot inside that rectangle or the um, round. Okay, right, a dot inside the male or the female. But for your national board exams, always remember, they are not going to indicate the carrier by a dot or by a half shading. Instead, they would be shown just like normal males and females. Are you able to understand this? So what I am trying to tell you is that even though in recessive pedigree the parents are usually the carriers and their children are affected, they would not be shown by half shading or dot inside the male or female. They would just be shown by normal male and female. You have to interpret that they may be carriers, that is why they have transmitted the disease or the both the abnormal genes or the alleles to the next generation. This should be very clear. Carriers are not always indicated by some abnormality in your national board exams. Please register this point in your mind. So as you could see, how they interpret, how they put up the recessive pedigree, they will show the parents as normal or carriers but shown as normal, but their children will be affected. So that is why our first rule in interpretation of pedigree is to put like this. Rule number one is for a recessive pedigree, wherein you interpret like unaffected parents can have affected children. Please remember, even though I am using the word unaffected, I am actually referring to what? I am actually referring to the carrier parents, which you can very clearly see in this picture. Okay, and once you have a recessive pedigree, there are only two possibilities. What are the two possibilities? One is it could be an autosomal recessive pedigree. Second is it is going to be X-linked recessive pedigree. Please remember, autosomal means it's a non-sex chromosome. That means both males and females would be affected. So in a family, if there is a recessive pedigree, both males and females are affected. Think of autosomal recessive pedigree. What about X-linked recessive pedigree? Where is the X-linked recessive pedigree going to manifest? You might have already studied that. What is that? Only in males. Because females have two X chromosomes, is it not? So if there is a problem in X-linked recessive pedigree, it is going to express only in males. So with this, you can very easily categorize a recessive pedigree into autosomal and X-linked or X-linked recessive pedigree. I hope that this rule is very clear. After rule number one, okay, you are not able to come to a conclusion. That means after rule number one, you might have already excluded autosomal recessive pedigree and X-linked recessive pedigree from the equation. What are the next three things which are left behind? Autosomal dominant, X-linked dominant, mitochondrial. Is it clear? If rule number one is applying, automatically you will put it either as autosomal recessive or X-linked recessive. If after rule number one, okay, you are not able to come to a conclusion, then you are left with three things: autosomal dominant, X-linked dominant, and mitochondrial inheritance. Now, in the next few minutes, I am going to tell you that I will rule out X-linked dominant and mitochondrial. Then only my last diagnosis will be autosomal dominant. Why? I will tell you the explanation now. Have a look at this pedigree. Here the male is affected. Here both the females are affected in the next generation. So for a casual person who is looking at this pedigree, they immediately think like autosomal dominant. Why? Because dominant means all the generations are affected. Why autosomal? Means both males and females are affected. But if you do it very casually like this, you may go wrong, because this is actually not a autosomal dominant pedigree but something else. What is that something else? Let me put it up in a different form and make you understand it. Suppose I denote the father as xy and the mother as xx, okay, which is what we normally denote. And suppose I say that the father has a problem due to a problem in the X chromosome, but here please note that the X chromosome is a dominant X chromosome. What is the meaning of dominance? Even one abnormal allele, the disease would be expressed. So what are all the possible offsprings possible? What is that? Y may combine with the X forming XY. Again, Y may combine with the other X forming XY. XY means males. That means the sons are not affected. That's what you see on the other side. Okay, right. Then X from the father can combine with the X from the mother, so resulting in a female. But here remember, it is a dominant X chromosome. So this female is going to be affected. Similarly, this X may combine with other X, okay, in the female, again resulting in a female. But here again, the same thing to be noted. It's a dominant X, so the disease is going to be expressed. Or in other words, the female offspring is going to be affected. Be able to follow? So what is a pattern? This is a case of X-linked dominant pedigree. This is a pattern of X-linked dominant pedigree. What does it easily confuse for? It is easily confused for autosomal dominant pedigree if you look at it casually. So let us make it as a rule and remember X-linked dominant. What is the rule? Affected male, okay, or father, all the daughters are affected. Sons are not affected. Okay, from an affected father, there are affected daughters. Sons are not affected. That is the point to be remembered. So that is the rule number 2. What is the rule number 2? X-linked dominant pedigree means affected father has all affected daughters. Just know this rule by heart. Affected father has all affected daughter. If you look at this type of pedigree, don't make the mistake as autosomal dominant. Please mark it as X-linked dominant. Just a quick recap of whatever we have done till now. Initially, we apply the rule number 1 to rule out the diagnosis of recessive pedigree. Once the recessive pedigree diagnosis is done and ruled out, then you are going to look at the other patterns of inheritance. That is where the rule number 2 comes. Rule number 2 is basically for X-linked dominant. Suppose this rule number 2 is also not applying, then what are we left with? We are left with autosomal dominant and mitochondrial inheritance. Let us look at the next rule. This is actually the last rule which you have to remember. You can see here from this pedigree, you can see that the female is affected here in the first generation. In the second generation, males and females are affected. So for a casual person, again, he may make the diagnosis as autosomal dominant pedigree, stating that both the generations are affected, males and females are also affected. But it is wrong. But it is wrong. Why? Because the mother is affected and all the kids are affected. Can you see that? Mother is affected and all the kids are affected. So that means something is transmitted from the mother to the kids. And what is that something? That something is nothing but the mitochondrial DNA. Always remember, the mitochondrial component is always given by the ovum. It is not from the sperm or the male counterpart. Are you able to follow this? So that is why always a disease affecting the mitochondrial DNA is always transmitted from the mother to her offspring. It is not going to be dependent on whether it's a male offspring or a female offspring. All the children or the offsprings will be uniformly affected. So that brings us to the rule number 3. What is the rule number 3? Affected mother has all affected children of either gender. Whether it's a male or a female doesn't matter, but all children will be affected from an affected mother. So this is called as mitochondrial pedigree. Are you able to follow this? Right. So after rule number 3 also, you are not able to come to a diagnosis. Then what is the only diagnosis which is left with? It is nothing but autosomal dominant. That's all. So please apply these 3 rules in a sequence, rule out one by one and come to a final diagnosis. Suppose I say that the rule number 1 is applying, then your diagnosis is automatically recessive pedigree. Recessive pedigree would be either what? Autosomal recessive or X-linked recessive. You will stop there itself. Suppose rule number 1 is not applying, then you are going to go to rule number 2. What is the rule number 2 for? The rule number 2 is for X-linked dominant. I am just writing XLD means X-linked dominant. If that is applying, then your diagnosis stops there. Suppose if rule number 2 is not applying, then you are going to apply the rule number 3. If the rule number 3 is applying, then your diagnosis is going to be mitochondrial pedigree. You stop there. Suppose rule number 3 is not applying, then you come to the final diagnosis, which is autosomal dominant pedigree. Is it clear? So, by applying this three rule approach, you can very easily come to a interpretation of a pedigree. If you do it regularly, practice it 2 or 3 times with some random pedigrees, you will become confident, and in the actual exam, you will be able to solve in less than 10 seconds. And that is what you need to know whenever you interpret a pedigree in the examination. At this point, I would also want you to remember there is one more very rare pattern of inheritance, which is called as Y-linked inheritance. Obviously, Y means present in a male, so only the father son affected combination will be present. But please remember, 99% this is not going to come in your exam, because most of the Y-linked recessive inheritance are associated with infertility, and they are not at all going to give you in the actual exam. So that is why I have not discussed about Y-linked inheritance. While interpreting pedigree also, you need not consider that possibility. Don't worry about that part, it is not going to come in your exams. So as you could have noticed from the past few minutes, interpretation of pedigree is very simple. Whenever you look at a pedigree chart being given in your exam, don't panic, keep calm and follow the three rules. Within 10 seconds, you will be able to tell the diagnosis. We always say practice makes a man perfect, so let us practice it with some examples. We will apply the rules one by one, then we will say what is the pattern of the pedigree given in the picture. Okay, now see here, you got three generations. Let us start applying the rule number 1, 2, 3 sequentially. So, what is the rule number 1? Rule number 1 is for recessive pedigree. Rule number 1 tells you that unaffected parents can have affected children. Okay, here you can see that the parents are affected, the children are affected. Here this parent is affected, the children are also affected, so that means there is nowhere an unaffected parent. So basically rule number 1 is not applying. So basically it is not a recessive pedigree, that's all. So let's move on to rule number 2. What is the rule number 2? Rule number 2 is for X-linked dominant pedigree. What does it tell you? Affected father, all the daughters are affected. Here you can see an affected father. Okay. He has two daughters, but only one of his daughter is affected. This other daughter is not affected. So that means what? This rule number 2 is also not applying. Right? Now let us move on to the next rule, that is the rule number 3. What is the rule number 3? Rule number 3 is for mitochondrial inheritance, which says that from an affected mother, all children will be affected, whether it's a male or a female. Now let's go back to the pedigree. You can see here there is an affected mother, but only two of her kids are affected. Can you see that? The third kid is not affected. So that means what? It is not a mitochondrial pedigree also. So if that is also not applying, then we are left with only one diagnosis. What is that diagnosis we are left with? Yes, we are left with autosomal dominant pedigree. Are you able to follow? So that is why in this particular pedigree, the inheritance is probably autosomal dominant, or it is almost always confirmed that it is a autosomal dominant pedigree. So what I would want you to remember here is, even when you look at the exam, in the exam casually, you will just think only like this. What is that? All generations are affected, males and females are affected. Straight away you put autosomal dominant. That is correct. But then if you follow the rules, it is not going to take more than 10 seconds. But if you follow the rules, you would have already excluded all the other diagnoses, and 100% confidently you can mark the answer. So that is why always follow the rules before you say the final answer. Let us look at the next example. Okay, let us start applying the rule number 1. What is the rule number 1? Rule number 1 tells you for recessive pedigree, unaffected parents have affected children. Is it applying here? Exactly, it is applying here. You look at here. What is that? Here the parents are unaffected, but you can see the kids are affected. Can you see that? That means this is a recessive pedigree. That means this is a recessive pedigree. Are able to follow? So unaffected parents having affected children. That rule is applying. So it's a recessive pedigree. You can see that male is affected, female is also affected. So automatically, what is the diagnosis? Nothing but autosomal recessive. Very easily you are able to say the diagnosis. See, now the rule number 1 is applying. So you need not apply the rule number 2 and 3 further. That's all. Wherever there is a positive application of a rule, you just stop it there. You do not go to the further rules. Only if the rule number 1 is not applying, I will have to go to rule number 2 and 3. Here it is rule number 1, it is recessive. Males and females are affected. So this is autosomal recessive. That's all. Let us look at the next example. Here is the rule number 1 applying. Here is the rule number 1 applying. Definitely rule number 1 is applying because you can see unaffected parent, the child is affected. Here also unaffected parent, the child is affected. So that means rule number 1 is applying. So this is a recessive pedigree. And what is the next one you need to note? You can see that only males are affected. When only males are affected, automatically your diagnosis becomes X-linked recessive. That's all. Very simple. This is a classical case of X-linked recessive pedigree. Okay, you need not apply any further rule because the rule number 1 is already applied. That's all. Let us look at the next example. What is the next example? You can look at this pedigree. Let us try to apply the rules as we do it always. Rule number 1, it is for recessive pedigree. Unaffected parents have affected children. Do you see the unaffected parents? Not at all. You don't see any unaffected parents. All the parents are affected, then their kids are affected. So rule number 1 is not applying. So let us go to the rule number 2. What is the rule number 2? The rule number 2 is for X-linked dominant pedigree. What is that rule? Affected father, all daughters are affected. So you have to start with an affected father. Where is the affected father? Here is the affected father. Okay. He has 3 daughters. You can see that 1, 2 and 3. And all the daughters are affected by the disease. So that means 100% the rule number 2 is applying here. Now your diagnosis stops here. What is the diagnosis? The diagnosis is nothing but X-linked dominant. That's all. Here it's a classical example of X-linked dominant pedigree. Are you able to understand this? Okay, so that is why they always apply and go by the rules. You will never go wrong. Let us look at the next example. What is the next example here? You can see rule number 1. What is the rule number 1? Rule number 1 is for recessive pedigree. Is it applying? Unaffected parents, affected children. No, here there is no unaffected parents. Always the parents are affected, then their kids are affected. So that means rule number 1 is not applying. Effectively, what have you ruled out? You have ruled out recessive inheritance. Then you go to the rule number 2. What is the rule number 2? Rule number 2 is for X-linked dominant inheritance, which says that affected father has all affected daughters. So here you have an affected father. Here you have an affected father, but the daughters are not affected. Can you see that? Oh, this one, sorry. But the daughter is not affected. So that means this is not a case of X-linked dominant also. Then you are going to apply the rule number 3. What is the rule number 3? Rule number 3 is for mitochondrial inheritance, which states that from an affected mother, all children are affected. You can see here, here is an affected mother. Okay, all the 3 kids are affected. Here also affected mother, all the 3 kids are affected. So that means 100% the rule number 3 is applying. So what is the rule number 3 if it is applying? Yes, it is a case of mitochondrial inheritance. Very simple, and this pedigree is done. Are you able to follow? Right. So I have tried to explain to you the simple way of interpreting a pedigree. If you practice it regularly, again I am repeating, in less than 10 seconds you will be able to answer in the actual exam. So now the time is for you to answer this pedigree. You can take 10 seconds, or if you are a beginner you can take even 20 seconds. Please try to apply all the rules and come to an answer. Once you have come to the answer, pause the video and write your answer in the comment section below. I will be eagerly waiting for all your answers. So that is the end of the discussion today. Hope you have liked this video. Please share it with your friends. If you have any doubts, please put it up in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and please press on the bell icon so that you get notified of new videos as and when they are posted to this channel. I will see you soon in another video. Have a good day. Thank you.